Hi, this is Joel, and I'm going to show you how to make your portrait tiles. For the setup here, we have cloth and we have a piece of sturdy paper that you can work on. You have your portrait tile in front of you, and you have two pieces of clay. You have a larger piece that's going to be mostly for your face, and a smaller piece which you can use for hair, nose, eyes, and all that stuff. And then you have a glass of water. You can share that with the table. You also have access to a small mirror, so you can look at yourself so that your portrait tile can look as much like you as possible. So the first thing you do is to take your larger piece, and you can shape it by flattening it a little bit into an oval shape for your face. Once you get your face roughly the shape you want, you can attach it to the tile. The way we attach things with clay is scratch and attach, which means you're going to scratch your clay and then you're going to attach it. Before we get started with the scratch and attach, first you want to trace lightly around your face so that you can lift it up and see where you're going to start scratching. When you scratch, you want to take your fork or a toothpick or something sharp and really scratch fairly deeply into the clay, and you want to do it on both things that you're attaching. Once that's done, you can dip your finger in some water and just put a little bit of water all over the scratched surfaces. This will help it bond together. Once you make the attachment, you can smooth the edges with your fingers and tools so that it is more secure and also looks better. Next, let's move on to the eyes. If you look in your mirror, you'll see that your eyes are actually indented a little bit into your face. To make these indentations, you can use your thumbs or fingers and gently press down on the clay. Your eyes should be a little bit above center. Once your eye sockets are finished, you can tear off a little piece of clay for your eyes. I like to make them into a small almond shape. Once you get them the shape that you want, you can attach them using the scratch and attach method and a little bit of water. Then if you want to, you can rip off an even smaller piece of clay for your pupil. You can use a little bit of scratch and attach if you can, and attach them onto your eyeball. The other way to do this is you can just poke a little hole in the eye and make your pupil with an indentation. Or you can do both. Next, let's move on to the nose. Grab a little piece of clay, and I like to use my thumb and fingers to make the nose shape. You can always rest it on top of the face and see how it's looking. My nose is looking a little too stuck out, so I'm going to slice off the back and make it a little smaller. Once you have it the way you want it, you can attach it with the scratch and attach method. Then you can smooth out the edges, either with your finger and some water, or you can also use a sponge if you like. Now let's move on to the mouth. I like to take a little piece of clay and roll it into a worm shape and just break it off into two small pieces, one for the lower lip and one for the upper lip. And then you can use the scratch and attach method if you can, it's pretty small, and some water, and attach the lips down to the face. I think these lips look a little too small, and if you make a mistake or you want to change something with clay, you can always just take it off and redo it so that it's just the way you want it to be. Next, let's move on to the hair. You can add hair with more clay, or you can simply scratch into the clay to create your hair that way, or both. Another fun way to make hair is with a garlic press. Just put some clay inside and press it out, just like Play-Doh. Then you can carefully arrange it on your face, trying out different styles before attaching it. When you attach this hair, just use a little water and maybe scratch a little bit on the surface of your head, but you don't need to scratch the fragile hair strands. Now's a good time to take a look at your face and see if there's anything you want to change. I'm going to add some holes in my eyes, and you can also decide if you want to make ears or not. Most of the tiles I've seen don't have ears, but some do, and it looks cool. Now let's move on to decorating the rest of the tile. One of the things you're going to need to do is add your name. You can do this by carving in with a toothpick or another tool, or you can use letter stamps to stamp your name in. When using the letter stamps, you want to make sure and stamp only about a halfway or a third of the way into the clay. You do not want to stamp all the way down to the table. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a hole in the back of your tile, and glaze will leak out when it's fired. When decorating the rest of your tile, think of the things you like to do best. If you like basketball, you could add a basketball to it. We also have a collection of stamps that you can use to press into your clay and create designs that way. If you look at the portrait tiles out in the hallway, you'll see there's quite a few pretty creative things going on with some of the decorations. If you try something and you don't like it, you can always erase it by smoothing it over with a little water. If your face ends up being really thick, it will take weeks and weeks to dry, and if it's not dry all the way through and it's fired, it will break in the kiln. So a volunteer parent will simply just take a loop tool and carve off a little in the back so that it dries more quickly. It's totally fine, but it's a lot easier if you just make your face a little thinner to begin with. This tile is thin enough that you wouldn't really need to do that. I just wanted to show you how it would look if you did. When you're all done with the tools, try to scrape off any big chunks of clay. And then parents, when you're all done, if you just soak the tools for 5 minutes in a bucket of water, the clay will scrub right off so that they'll be all ready to go for next year. So that's it. Have fun making your tiles, and if you have any questions, let us know and we'll come help you out.